Why are you unhappy? Why is someone close to you unhappy? And why are so many people unhappy? Stay around where I'm going to explain this today and how you can become happier. Hey, Johnny Pardo here, guiding you to more self-love, confidence and mindset. So for me, I've had up and downs in my life like anyone. And in 2018 and 19, I had some very, very lows. I felt really, really down. Now, I've never been at the point of being seriously depressed where I couldn't get out of bed. And I know some people in this world do suffer with that. And if you're watching this and you're in that situation, please speak to someone and get professional help. Because I've known friends of friends who are in that situation. So yeah, please get support. But what I want to talk about today is why people are unhappy and what you can possibly do to improve your mood from what I've tried and what's helped me in the past. So I got very low and sort of didn't enjoy life. I didn't like myself. I got to a point where I really didn't like myself. And I just decided that was it. I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to make sure I love me and really, really make the most out of life. And I started doing all my research. I started doing more and more personal development, watching more YouTube, watch people like Tony Robbins, of course, watching people like Jay Shetty. And more recently, I've been listening to Mel Robbins, Marissa Peer, but a variety of resources. And I started applying it. And you don't change your life until you actually take action. So knowledge is not power. Knowledge is just potential power that you can use. I think it's Tony Robbins who actually said that. But I think that's quite a thing that's well known and quite common. But I started applying these things and I started to feel good, started to feel better about my life. Now, obviously, I do have down days now and then. Like I actually had one the other week. I wasn't feeling so good, but I use my self-awareness to pull myself back up a little bit. So, why do people feel unhappy? Let's go into that now. So for me, it's because there's quite a lot of negative energy and information around. And especially during these times like lockdown and the coronavirus time, there's a lot of negative news about and lots of obviously sad things happening, such as people losing their lives, people losing their jobs and various things. So there's going to be a lot of negative energy, lots of negative news about. But the information around us, we take in without even realising it. And in my last video, I talked about the subconscious, and I'm going to touch on it again because it is related to this as well. But we take in information constantly, and we don't even know what's being stored in the subconscious most of the time. And we can't do anything about that, taking in information. But we can consciously start to choose to take in more positivity and train ourselves to think more positively. But going back to the why, it's because if we're hearing all this information, taking it in, then it's going to be quite negative and then it's going to go into us. Now, there is a way out of this and start feeling good. That's what I'm going to go into in a minute. But I'm explaining why we can feel quite unhappy because we're taking in quite a lot of negativity. And thinking about it and reflecting on it and taking the information and doing all my studies, there's really kind of three main things I picked out for unhappiness, but there's obviously a lot more views and a lot more opinions, but these are my top three. So the first one is people don't know how to get out of being unhappy because it's a constant habit. It's something they're used to and they just don't know the process of getting out to being happy. They may try something in the short term, but it doesn't work because they do it for such a small amount of time, or it's not the right thing for them. So I think that's the first thing. The first thing is people don't know how to stop being unhappy and start to become happier. Two is they don't know what they want out of life. When we just feel drained from doing jobs we don't like, we might be in a relationship we don't like, or doing just anything in life we don't like, that's going to drain us and we're not going to feel as good. And that can come because there's a lack of clarity. So I think that's the second one. People don't understand or don't know what exactly they want to do in life. So that's the second one. And by the way, that's okay to not know exactly what you want to do in life. It can take time and lots of trial and error. but we need to take action and try to find what we want. But that can be a problem. People not knowing what they want out of life. And the third reason I believe people are unhappy quite a lot, and again, this is taken from my own perspective, what I've talked to others about, and from my own learnings around mental health, around self-love, around confidence, around mindset, is that people focus energy in the wrong places. People spend energy on jobs they don't love, trying to please people who will never give them the energy back. So whether that's a relationship or whether that's for a particular job or a social environment, people just waste energy in the wrong places. Instead, we should be using energy in the right places on things that make us feel good. But those are the main reasons I believe unhappiness is so frequent in so many people these days. So now I've talked about them, let's look at how we can become happier, that I'm going to use from my own experience, from building myself up and feeling better, and that I've known has worked from different theories and different studies I've looked at. My first point is something I'm addicted to, and it's habit and routine. And why wouldn't you be? We are what we do repeatedly, as the quote goes. Aristotle, I think that was. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, but a habit. And if we get our routine sorted, full of things that are going to bring us energy, make us feel good, we're going to feel happier. It's quite simple, but not always easy. And people don't do it more often because we're on what's known as autopilot mode. We just go through. Our brain doesn't have the energy to keep thinking about everything we do. So we go onto autopilot mode and we might be doing things that don't serve us anymore. So logically, putting down on paper and really looking at your routines can really, really help. And morning routines are a particular one because that's your start of your day. Don't roll out of bed and just get into work. I used to do that. I used to just get up, not literally just roll into the car. Hopefully you knew I meant that. But I'd shower, maybe grab a bite to eat, and then I'd get in the car and drive to work. And I wouldn't feel fantastic. In fact, it felt quite depressing sometimes driving in, especially after I had a heavy weekend, usually on a Monday morning. But that's another point. But when we don't think about our morning routine or our routines, and if they're not full of things that make us feel good, that are going to give us energy, they might be a bit of work, then if we don't do those things, we're not going to have a good day as we can potentially be. We won't be as happy as we can be. So I'm always revising my routines, thinking, is my morning routine, my lunchtime routine, and evening routine fit for purpose? Are they full of things that are going to make me feel good? And that sounds a bit excessive that you got those, but we all have routines, and you probably have a lunchtime routine and an evening routine. You do something before bed. You probably, whether that's just watching TV and going to bed, that's a routine. You have a lunchtime routine. Whether that's just going to the gym, whether that's walking outside, grabbing a sandwich, then going back to work. Or your morning routine, like I said, mine used to be just get out of bed, shower, grab something to eat, and then drive to work. We all have routines, but looking at how we can change them to make us feel happier is really, really important. So that's my first tip. Look at your routine to think about how you can become happier. So for me, it's adding things in such as exercise, adding in things like meditation, adding in things like journaling. Think what's right for you. Tip number 2 is looking at a setback plan. Now, what I talked about routine and habits is going to make you feel better and happier, but you're not going to feel happy 100% of the time. Nobody on this planet has or ever will be or has been happy 100% of the time, even if they seem like they are. Everyone's had their struggles, but if you start applying more and more habits and actions that are going to make you feel good in your routines, then you're likely to feel better than the majority of the time. However, there's going to be a time where bad things are going to happen to you in life and you're going to have to bounce back. So that's really important when bad things come in, or whether it's just a negative thought that comes out of nowhere, you've got a setback plan. Now, a setback plan is just something that's very simple for you to get from a negative state into a more positive one. And you don't worry if you're not getting into an ecstatic level of happiness from real misery. Just look at improving yourself a little bit in terms of your mood. So think about what you can do. For me, it's just sitting in silence for 5 minutes and understanding why I'm feeling like I am, just writing it down. And then it's doing something like gentle breathing And then it can be something like smiling or listening to my favourite song or listening to a podcast. And it might take 5-10 minutes, but it's worth it just to get me into a happier state. And I know when I'm in a happier state, I'm going to be more productive. And why wouldn't I want to be happy, of course? So think about what your setback plan could be for when negative things come at you in life. I was at a point where I was so low, I had a setback plan in place, and I had to do it about over 5 times in a day, just because I was feeling so low. But then I kept doing it, and I was able to get through that hard time. So think about what it could be for you. My third tip is your network of people. Think about who you're hanging out with. If you're with a bunch of people who are negative, hate life, it makes them miserable, then you're probably going to be the same, because you're getting that negative energy and that negative feeling in life. So think about how you can start hanging around with more positive people, whether that's on an online group or whether it's just some friends who are a bit more upbeat, or whether it's, listening to people on podcasts who bring you up. Obviously, I suggest you want to get into some actual social communities, and podcasts would also help, listening to more positive, upbeat people. But think about how you can join more positive communities. There's a website called Meetup where you can find lots and lots of groups on there, and you can find people with similar interests. So think about how you can get more positive people and spend time with more positive people in your life, because it's going to make you happier if you're spending more time with happier people. My next tip is be conscious on what you are consuming. So I'm talking about the information you're taking in, whether that's what you're listening to in terms of music, whether it's what you're listening to in terms of podcasts or the news, what you're watching. But I'm also talking about what you're consuming in terms of diet. Just pay attention to bits of information throughout the day and start to note mentally and physically, it might help at the end of the day, what's bringing your mood down and what's bringing your mood up. And then start doing more of the things that make you feel happier and less of things that don't make you feel as happy. So being more aware of the information and things you're eating on a regular basis is going to help you develop a happier state. And my final tip is get a coach, or think about what you really want to do in life. Now, you might think, there's loads of coaches out there these days. Who do I start with? There's life coaches, there's all sorts of coaches. But getting someone to help talk through with you who's perhaps experienced what you do want in life is really, really going to help you, because then you can start to unlock what you want to do. And when we start doing things we really do like and enjoy, or we know what we want to go towards, we start to feel better about life. So get a coach. And you might think, I can't afford it. But think about what you do spend your money on. That might be a good way to budget it. Do you spend lots of money on takeaways? Do you spend lots of money on clothes? Or do you spend lots of money on nights out and things like that? Think about how you could save that money some way. And if you really can't afford a coach, and I say it's a worthwhile investment, investing in something that's going to help you potentially become happier and go for what you really want in life. And after all, we want to feel great in life and do what we love. That's probably a worthwhile investment. But if you really can't, just map out, think about what you're really good at in life, what you really enjoy, and what you could perhaps do as a job and help people with. So that's my final suggestion. Get a coach, or really brainstorm some of those points I've just said about what you want to do in life. So I'd be really, really interested in your view. What do you think is the main reason or reasons for people being really, really unhappy in the world? Just put your comment below in the comments. To finish off today, unhappiness is very, very common. Unfortunately, in today's world, there's obviously happiness as well, which is fantastic and great to see. But there's quite a lot of negative energy, there's quite a lot of information out there that can become trapped in us, and therefore we don't feel as happy. But we can take responsibility to reprogram how we feel, to change our thoughts and do actions such as the people we're talking to, such as the information we're consuming, to start to feel better. So hopefully you can take that away and start to feel a little bit happier. If you are feeling like your self-love, your confidence, your mindset's not quite there at the moment, that's perfectly okay. We're in a very difficult time. However, I do have my latest book, which is called The Self-Esteem and confidence mindset. It's available in both paperback and Kindle on Amazon, where I give my own personal story, my own struggles with self-esteem, confidence and mindset, how I overcome it, some simple learning points and some actions I give throughout the book for you to take on your life to become more self-loving and confident. So check that book out if you haven't already. And of course, if you like today's video, I have plenty more videos available for you, particularly around self-esteem, particularly around self-love and confidence in your mindset. Just subscribe to my channel or hit the bell to be notified when I release a new video every Tuesday and Thursday. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you can start to take some actions and begin to feel happier. I'll leave it there for today, but keep working on that self-love, that confidence and that mindset, and I'll catch you in the next video.